We'd like again to welcome our special guest, our speakers, and the participants in this workshop. We look forward for productive and fruitful discussions. We welcome all your ideas and feedback in order to move forward the scope of the workshop in the Emirate of Abu Dhabi and the UAE worldwide, and worldwide as well. So the scope of the workshop very quickly is going to be addressing the marine and the coastal resources in the UAE from the academic angle, as we are addressing it in Masdar Institute with the coastal and environmental remote sensing and modeling team that we have. And we will have also in a second session, after a short break, participations with talks from stakeholders who are supporting in a way or another our effort, and we thank them for that. Namely, Ras Al Khema with Dr. Al Ghais, the DOT with the engineer Wissam. We have also a participant from Al Fujairah, and we thank them for being here. We are also waiting for participant from Sheikh Mohammed's office. And we thank everybody for this great support to our effort. So the second session would summarize. We couldn't include, unfortunately, everybody in the second session. We only have the possibility to include 3 talks in the second session after the short break. And lastly, we'll have a panel discussion where everybody is welcome to provide his or her input in the discussion in a way that we find ideas in how to join forces, academic partners, NGOs, government NJCs, etc., to achieve a sustainable marine and coastal environment in the UAE and in the region very quickly. I will give you an overview of the team, and then I will leave the floor for the 3 speakers in the first session. So again, this is my name and the introductory. This is the first session that we'll be hosting. Very quickly, the team that we are having at Masdar Institute focus on the remote sensing, the modeling, and the in-situ observation of the marine and coastal resources in the UAE and in the region. The 3 talks that we will have in the first session from Masdar will address specifically each component of those elements. And then here a snapshot of the team members. They are all very active, and they put great contribution into this effort, and I thank them for that. This is examples of PRs. We have been very active in impacting the region, the UAE, but also the region, and reaching out to other countries in the region with the work that we have been doing. And we look forward for more interactions with the stakeholders who are present in the room here. These are pictures to illustrate the field work that we have done, and Dr. June in his first talk will give you more details about the protocols that we have adopted and the results that we found also with the field work. In addition to that, we have an extensive lab work that we have conducted to build the unique library of species in the region, and Dr. June and Engineer Mariam Ashihi will provide you with more details about that. And this, always in the first session, Dr. June also will emphasize on the participation in his participation on the remote sensing part, which is a niche that our lab is focusing on in the work. Dr. Al, after that, in the last talk of this session, or the one but the last, will focus on the hydrodynamic modeling. So he will go into details with respect to the hydrodynamic modeling, how the currents are moving in the region in different scales, the regional, the local, the mesoscale, etc. So that's overall the scope of the first session. I would like to call Dr. Jun Zhao, the first speaker, to present his first talk.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for coming to our workshop. Today, I just share some information about research in the Gulf region about red tide oil spill tracking. And here's the title. And we have this contribution from Dr. Marwan Tamimi and Hosni Khalil. We know that in the Gulf region, there are a lot of decision plans And in the Gulf countries rely a lot on that for drinking water supply. And there are also a lot of precious and endemic marine resources and wildlife. So that's important to monitor the marine environment. But they are threatened by the oil spill and red tide, and this happens frequently in the Gulf region. We use the satellite remote sensing to monitor these hazards because they have advantages in terms of these several aspects. Now, I'll give you several examples about oil spill and red tide. First one is about oil spill, and we have several publications about that. And here shows an example of the oil spill in the Gulf region that happened on May 26 in 2000. And we use different satellites to monitor that. The first one is Landsat 7, and the second one is Terror. And they can just detect the oil spill sequentially. You can see that the Area 1 and Area 2, 3, they show different contrasts compared with the surrounding waters. Like Area 1, they show very dark contrast, but Area 3, they show very bright contrast that caused by the oil type and oil thickness, and also the satellite and the solar wind angle. The panel below shows the spectra of the transect. You see that on the upper panel, there's two lines, green lines, and the lower panel shows the spectra along that track. For the bright contrast, it shows very higher reflectance, but the other one shows lower reflectance. That means like there are different kinds of the oil spill. And also, for the oil spill, they show different spectra. The oil spill, they have kind of like a very unstable spectra, but for oil spill free areas, they show very stable spectra. So from these tools, we can separate and categorize the oil spills. And also, you know that a lot of red tide happens in the Gulf region, so it's very important to separate these two, let's say, events. So we use an index called floating altitude index to separate the two, because like the oil spill shows here on the right panel, it shows very low values, and also in the true color image shows very dark contrast compared with the surrounding waters. So, but for the red tide, this index shows high values, so we can use that to separate the two. When we found the oil spills from satellite images, we then input that information to our hydrodynamic model, and you see that the starting point is from the satellite image. Then we input that, fed that into model, and estimate the potential movement of the oil spills. And then from that case, we can estimate the potential movement in the coming days. Here's one example in the Arabian Gulf. The second one is in the Fujairah area. Sorry, there's something wrong with animation. Generally, the oil spill was found in the Fujairah area. Then we used the model and found that the oil spill made a landfall along. You see that, it's back here. You see the blue points flashing as they are moving and spreading, and they made landfall very close to the Fujairah coast. This one is a case in July 2013. And now I show some case about the red tide from space, and we also have several publications about that. And here is one in 2008 and 2009 that affect a lot of destination plants in the Gulf region because that bloom was dominated by toxic species. They can produce toxins that can affect people or animals in the marine environment. You see the red color here, that's the red tide, and the right side, it shows the dominant species. It's called the Cocodinium. And then that bloom caused a shutdown a lot of different plants. For example, there's one reverse osmosis distant plant that goes for 55 days. So here the question is, from sunlight, is it possible to separate the toxic and the non-toxic blooms? To achieve that goal, we use the sunlight mix and develop different index, and we found that it's possible. And we separate the main bloom species in the Arabian Gulf. The first one is the Hydrodynamic. The second one is the Nautica. The third one is the Diatoms, and the fourth one is the Degradation. They have different features. From sunlight, we also found the bloom patches, and then we fed the information to the model from Dr. L's work, and we defined the starting points of the bloom patch, and then you see here the bloom was moving, and also they're spreading. There's something wrong with the animation, sorry. Excuse me, can you just click play of the animation? Oh, sorry. And then we just integrate that output into the Google Earth. That's very user-friendly, and anybody interested in that can download and play with it. And we also try to detect and monitor the reptile found from our field survey. This is the map showing the stations we designed on the west and east coast of the UAE. And in July 2014, we found a very high chlorophyll concentration patches of Rosheima, and then we went that side with support from Dr. Saif Haragace, and we used his boat for that trip. And we found that there are a lot of particles floating in the surface, and we also deployed some instruments like the CTD, that's measuring the temperature salinity from the surface to the bottom. That's a continuous profile. And we also measured the wind, nutrients, and some other parameters to characterize the bloom. And we also grabbed samples from the site from different depths from the surface, and from 2 meters or 4 meters to the bottom. And then we did some very quantitative and qualitative analysis of the samples. And we use the different instruments for that. Let's say, for example, for the spectrophotometer, we use the chlorophyll concentration and the absorption of different particles components in our column, and also the light microscope and the scanning electron microscope to measure and determine the phytoplankton species, and in terms of the level and the strength. Here shows an example of the light microscopic analysis. It shows some very primary pictures. And here is from the SEM analysis, and they can show the 3D shape of the species, and that's very unique in the region. And Nahla Mazur, she won the prize for that. And this is some pictures from our field campaigns. Thanks to Dr. Gates for that. And that trip was very, very good experience. And we also, for the red tide project, we have cooperation with some other international participants, like from Woods Hole. And we are the contact in the region for the red tide. And that project was focused on the desalination. To wrap up, so remote sensing is very, very effective and a very important tool to effectively and timely detect and monitor the red tide and oil spills. And we also use different platforms from, let's say, from remote sensing and also from modeling and fieldworks. And the integration from the different platforms is very important to establish an effective and timely warning and forecasting system for red tide and also in the ocean. The last part was for the acknowledgement, and we are from this lab, and got support from our team members, from Ms. Anonymous and Dr. L. Azar. And we also want to thank Dr. Saif Agates for his support, and Abu Dhabi Navy and Bahrain for supporting our field campaigns. Also some data from NASA and NOAA. Thanks. Thank you very much.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much, Dr. John. Any question for Dr. John? before he heads back to his seat? Any question? Okay, so that was the first presentation highlighting the remote sensing work. Again, the main contribution that Masdar Institute is putting in the region here in the monitoring of marine and coastal resources. The continuity of this effort with respect to the modeling, we'll hear from Dr. Al-Azhar now in the second talk, in which we'll highlight all the work related to the modeling, the numerical modeling, and the validation of our numerical model. So please, Dr. Al-Azhar.
Okay, yeah. In this great opportunity, I would like to continue into a numerical model. Numerical model here, it's one of the tools that we are using to, as a complementary to direct observation and remote sensing. It has several benefits that we can see in the next slide. So this slide is just to give you a quick overview of what is a hydrodynamic model. So basically, it's a tool that can be approximate and represent what is happening in the ocean by solving some numerical equation. On the left figure, that's the schematic of the model. We have the input, and then the input used as an input to solve the numerical approximation, and then we got the output. The important result from the model is this ocean parameter that can vary on the time and space. And we are here using a 3-dimensional ocean model. On the right figure there, we have all the forcing on the surface of the ocean, and we solve that by numerical approximation to solve the horizontal mixing and vertical mixing. So in a 3-dimensional space, we can generate the result. For example, for the temperature, salinity, biological parameter, and other tracer. This is the application of the model in the Arabian Gulf. We use a coupled model. We have the ocean component, we have this atmosphere component, and also the wave. So this is in one set of a model, and we run that model on the right side. That's the bathymetry of the model. On the coarser resolution, we have 5 kilometers, and then we downscale into several kilometers and a few meters. And we got the initial and boundary values that's from the global ocean model, and the forcing, it's from the atmosphere model that run in our group also, using WAF. Here we would like to highlight 3 main problems that we are facing that can be potentially analyzed by the model. First one, it's the nutrient delivery and impact to the algae bloom, and then the impact of the salination plant outfall. And the last one, it's the potential of the marine renewable energy, especially in the eastern UAE. But before we can use the model to analyze or to solve the problem, first we have to validate the model. Without a good and validated model, it's possible to get a good result and good analysis. So the first step we have to do is to validate. Here it's an example of the model validate into the observation. It's the direct observation made in '92, but it's a really comprehensive data set that can be used to validate our model. For example, on the upper part of the slide, that's the temperature in the surface, and the lower part, that's the temperature in the 20 meters. So the dots there, that's from the direct observation, and the contour or the map, that's from the model result. So in general, the model result can nicely reproduce what we observed in '92. That's on this left side, that's February and March average, and that side is in the early summer. And the same case in the salinity, we can also capture the salinity profile in the entire Arabian Gulf. In the surface, that's around 3.5 meters, and also in the bottom. And this is the validation of the model for the velocity. So the red one, that's from the observation, and the model, that's the red one. So it's nicely, the model nicely reproduces what we have, but still it's approximate. There's some uncertainty there and some error. But this is, yeah, we can say it's a good agreement that we can use the model to use the model to analyze other potential long-term analysis. And this is example to how the model can contribute to a long-term analysis of the water's quality in the Gulf. For example, on the left side, we have salinity difference between winter 2008 and 2009. And also that on the right side, that's the temperature difference in the winter 2008 and 2009. So here, this is just an example from 2 years difference, but we can run the model, for example, to reproduce what we have now, and then to create, for example, climate change analysis with higher surface temperature and more discharge from the outfall, just to see the difference between the salinity, what we have now, and what we have in the future. And this is the impact of desalination plant outfall. The modeling studies potentially can provide what we need to know if we have the climate change, how the water quality will change. And the most important things that's on the output of the desalination, it's a brine discharge. It's not only a discharge, but it contains thermal and chemical and saline pollution. So if we input that into the model, then we can see how this brine discharge will propagate in the Arabian Gulf, and see will it affect the marine environment along the UAE coastline, or in the Arabian Gulf as a whole, water bodies. And the model can be coupled also into ecosystem model. We have on the left side, it's the coupled model between the nutrient, phosphorus, and oxygen. So once we have all the nutrient, we can also simulate how much oxygen consumption in the water. This coupled model also can be used to forecast the red tide. So what has been detected in the remote sensing, we can forecast. And then combine remote sensing and numerical model for the forecasting effort. This is, we are going to have a joint cooperation with institution, Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, to tackle this problem. And for the marine renewable energy here, for example, we have on the left figure, this is the current velocity from the model. As you can see here in the inner Gulf, we only have relatively low speed of the current. But on the eastern part of the UAE, in Fujairah, for example, we have higher velocity. So we will run the model and analyze, is it possible to harvest this potential into a real product. And this is what we have now. It's an operational model. As I mentioned before, we start with a 5-kilometer resolution, and then we zoom into more high resolution for the Abu Dhabi coastal area. This is operational model, means that the model can reproduce what we have now and forecast what will happen, for example, in the next 5 days. And we can also increase more into more higher resolution. For example, this is what we have. Application the Dash Island, it's 300-meter resolution, but the model also can be run for a few meters resolution. So for the summary, together with the remote sensing and direct observation, the modeling result can potentially serve as a robust tools to support the sustainability of marine resource and environment, and can be used also to tracking the oil spill and harmful algae bloom, and to assess the potential energy in this region. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Al. Any question for Dr. Al regarding the modeling? Al, don't run away. There is one.
Question. Thank you for that presentation.
Yeah.
Oh, you have a microphone here. I have a very loud voice. So, your model, have you tested that against the Somalian current, the monsoon in the East Coast?
Yeah.
I noticed you did looked at 2008 and 2009, but not within 1 year, because in 1 year we have two current changing in the East Coast.
Yeah, that's only the example, but we run the model from 2006 and until 2013. That's just that one that I gave here is just an example, but yeah, certainly we can do that. We can validate how the Somalian current, because it brings a lot of nutrients to the Fujairah area, and it will increase the nutrient delivery, and yeah, we can certainly do that. But it's not done yet, because it's hard to find the data, the direct observation in that area. We only have the 92 data and our own field campaign that's for the year 2013 and 2014. Yeah. Yes, please. 92 data. That's from the ROCME. Yeah, and supported by the ROCME.
Yeah,
supported by ROCME. It's now the data. It's on the online, so you can easily download that. It's available online.
Hi, thank you for the interesting presentation. I really appreciate this. I'm Dr. Yusuf Al-Asiri from Kuwait Institute for Scientific Research, and we do model the Arabian Gulf extensively. And our experience tells us that the input, the freshwater discharge, plays a significant role in the structure, vertical structure of the Arabian Gulf. And I'm just wondering how did you force your model at your offshore boundary conditions, and what was your discharge from Shatt al-Arab particularly? Because if you run your model from 1992, and you are predicting 2006 or 8, this is it changes significantly with the reduction of the flow. And then also you've got a significant evaporation rate due to the climate change.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering how did you set up your model?
Okay, thank you. It's a bit technical, but hopefully, if I go back to this figure, oh, sorry. So my open boundary, it's on the Sea of Oman, and there I specify the temperature, salinity, and the current. I use the data from data assimilation, global data assimilation modeling, and that model ran from early 80s into 2000 into the present. So take advantage from that global ocean data assimilation model. And for the forcing, I use also the reanalysis data. Reanalysis means combine between what we measured and the model. And that data also available from the early 80s up to now. So I take advantage from the global ocean data assimilation and atmospheric. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that's included on the model. Yeah, it's included on the model because it's data assimilation, what we measure and then we model. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. My name is Khalid from Kuwait again.
Yeah.
If you go back to the calibration or validation point.
Okay.
I think the second slide.
Yeah, it's a bit far. Okay. It's getting.
I mean this one.
Okay.
This, I mean both these calibration. I can see big differences between the measured and the one you simulated, and you claim that the model predict very well the measured data. I mean, you could see up to probably the difference. You can get up to 20%, where you have the. I mean, the circles are the measured, this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, I mean, in all the figures, how do you claim that the model predicts very well? And I think
yeah, it's based on the mean average value here. We expect it's in the mean of half degrees or half ppm, and on average we are having that we can achieve that level. But of course, it's still ongoing project, and we will publish this into the paper, and of course a lot of
I mean,
review.
Even the next slide where you compare the time history of the current measured and the next one.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a big differences.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. In terms of the magnitude, yes, but we can capture the pace. Like we have the float and ebb, we can capture that. Of course, it's a model, then there's a lot of parameter we can adjust. So it's...
Okay. I mean, the other thing also you mentioned about the waves.
Yeah.
What type of model you use for the wave? And is it the wave included? And
yeah, no, not yet, but it's a coupled. I haven't coupled that with the wave. It's only the ocean part.
Okay, which model are you going to use for the wave?
For the wave, there's a SWAN model.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Al. I think we should stop the, questions for this talk now. It's clear that Al raised, quite of important points. We have to move to the third talk, since we started a bit late, with Engineer Mariam Shehi. It's going to be the third and last talk in the first session before we go for a short break. And then we'll continue with the second session that Dr. Al-Ghis will chair later. Thank you.
So good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mariam Shehi. I am a PhD student in Masdar Institute. And I'm going to present today a presentation entitled, actually I have changed a little bit the topic. It will be about characterization of harmful algae blooms in the Arabian Seas, and also the characterization of the Arabian Seas itself. So I will be focusing more on causes, impacts, and the characteristics of the harmful algae blooms in the area. So starting with HAB. So what does HAB stand for? It stands for the harmful algae blooms. And harmful algae blooms is referred to a species that actually present in the water. And they are one of the important species or important factor that in the food cycle. However, the abnormal growth of these species cause diverse effects on the environment. These species are divided into 3 categories, and these categories are diatoms, dinoflagellates, and cyanobacteria. And every category of these species have different characteristics regarding the shape, the color, and the shape, and their environment. So starting by the diatoms can be centric and pinnate. They can be single or multi-celled free-floating species. The cells include chlorophyll, A and C, and the pigments are not distributed well in the cell. These diatoms can be toxic or not, depending on the type of the species itself. So there are a lot of types of the species in this category. The other two species are dinoflagellates and cyanobacteria. Dinoflagellates are called with this name because their shape is containing two dissimilar flagella. That's why they are called dinoflagellates. And they can be found in the sea, like in the salty water or in the fresh water. Regarding the third category, it's called cyanobacteria. It's kind of bacteria, not phytoplankton, and they are called blue-green algae, and most of them are in filaments shape. And these species have been found in Fujairah in 2013 during our sampling period. So HABs have been observed in the region since 1908, and the first outbreak was observed in India in 1908, and the species was Trichodesmium. So this species is cyanobacteria. And after that, 101 events were found and observed in India after this event. And after that, the research has increased about the HABs outbreak and characterization of the HABs starting from 1908, and the publications have arisen. As you can see here, like in 1970s, 1980s, there have become a lot of publication about this topic, and the species are different. So there is no one species that causes the harmful algal blooms in the area. There are diverse of species in this region. Continuing, like in 1990s up to 2000, like more awareness of these outbreaks have been raised, and a lot of people started working on this topic and going and collect samples and characterize these events. So there were many efforts have been done in the field campaigns and the sampling in the Arabian Seas and Gulf of Oman, but the most extensive sampling was done actually in the Arabian Seas, and especially by India, and the institute is called National Institute of Oceanography, which started like in 1995, started collecting samples and analyzing these species in the water. And also Pakistan have also started in 1977 of collecting samples and analyzing the HAB outbreaks. Oman started recently in 1995, and also in 2005, 2004, there have been decent efforts in sampling the water and characterize the harmful algal blooms in the area. So these outbreaks have been observed in many regions or many areas of the region. So let's focus more on the Arabian Seas and see the characteristic of this region. So the Arabian Seas is consisting of Arabian Gulf, Gulf of Oman or Sea of Oman, and Arabian Sea. So starting by the Arabian Gulf, so every water body have different characteristics. Arabian Gulf has a surface area of 8,630 kilometers squared, and it's a width of 75 to 370 kilometers, and it is extend through 990 kilometers. It has a very shallow area near Abu Dhabi, which reached 20 meters. However, the depth increased towards Iran, which reached 80 meters. The major fresh flow of the Arabian Gulf is from Shatt al-Arab, and this Shatt al-Arab actually is getting its fresh water from three rivers, Tigris, Euphrates, and Caron River. But actually, in the meantime, the main source of Shatt al-Arab is from Caron River. This Caron River is coming from Iran. Regarding the Tigris and Euphrates, actually most of the flow is evaporated or used for agriculture. Moving to the Gulf of Oman. Gulf of Oman has a width of 370 and length of 545 kilometers, and it has high precipitation rate, which reach like 200 millimeters per year. The Arabian Sea has a surface area of 3.9 million kilometers squared, and it has high salinity, and it is featured of a lot of cold eddies. And these eddies in this region, for example, it is a clockwise eddies. These clockwise eddies increase the productivity of that area because the nutrients from the seabeds are brought up and become a good source of nutrients for the HABs in that region. That's why the productivity increased in that area. So why should we be concerned about the harmful algae blooms in the region? Actually, the HABs outbreaks have caused a lot of drawbacks in the area. So starting by the first drawback, it caused aquatic life degradation. So it kills a lot of fish in the region, and this either because of the toxic phytoplankton species or because of the lack of the oxygen. So some species may form a layer at the top of the water and prevent the oxygen from penetrating through the water, so it causes the lack of oxygen. Actually, Oman is the country that is really affected by the marine degradation because it is facing the Arabian Sea and the Oman Sea. So most of the fish mortalities was in Oman, and it experienced 77 events of HABs outbreaks. So, for example, in 1976, 10,000 tons of died fish were in Oman, and also in different years, like in 2008, there was like around 100 of tons of died fish in that area. In UAE, also the fish quantities and the fishing industry have also affected by the harmful algal blooms, and the fishing industry actually is one of the primary occupation that have been done before the discovery of oil in the area. So, for example, in 2008, you can see a high drop of the fishing quantities and fishing jobs in that year because of the HAB outbreaks that caused a lot of problems to the sea and killed the fish in that year. The second problem that the HABs cause are the closure of the desalination plants. So it reduces the desalination plants' production, and it might also penetrate through the system and affect the quality of the desalinated water. And it also can damage the filters of the desalination plants, so it also affects the economic part of the process. The third drawbacks are the tourism and the health. So first of all, I would like to talk about the health. So the harmful algae blooms affect the health of the human through the exposure to it. So it can cause the skin problems or eye problems, and it also affects the respiration system. And so that's why we need to protect the human and the tourists from going to the sea during the HAB events. So in 2009, Jumeirah Beach was closed to protect the tourists in that year. And also many hotel bookings were cancelled in Muscat, Oman in that year to protect them from this event. So what are the main causes of red tide? So why these HABs appear in this area? So the main source or the main factor that causes the harmful algae blooms in the area is the nutrients. So the nutrients can be nitrogen, phosphate, potassium, or iron. So, but in the Arabian Seas, there are different factors that bring the nutrients to the region. So one of the factors is the dust. So the area is a very arid region, and there are a lot of dust storms in the region. And this dust actually contains some iron particles as well. So when the dust deposits in the water, so it got suspended in the water. So with this iron and with the light of the sun, there can be a good environment to grow the HABs in that area. So that's why, for example, in March, you will see a lot of dust storm, and after a while, you will see a HAB events like in Gulf of Oman or Arabian Sea. So this is one of the reasons. The second one is the seabed. Seabed is one of the major sources of nutrients. However, if there are some cold eddies or some circulation, so these nutrients come up and brought up to the surface, and with the availability of the light, there can be a good environment to grow the HABs in that area. The third factor is the human activities. So after the discovery of oil in the area, there have been a lot of industries in the coastal line of the Arabian Gulf. So these industries, they dump their waste to the sea. So this waste can contain a lot of additives of the industrial process. So, and with different temperature, like high temperature or low temperature. So they change the characteristic of the water, and they can form an environment that, that is good to grow the herbs in that area. So what are the predominant phytoplankton species that cause the herbs in the Arabian Seas? Diatoms are the most the spreading species in the region, but dinoflagellates are the species that cause the herbs. So we found that there are 8 different genus that cause the herbs in the region. So we explored through the literature, and we found that there is one kind of cyanobacteria, which is the Trichodesmium, and 2 from the diatoms, and 5 from the dinoflagellates. So we can say that the most species that cause the harmful algae blooms events are the dinoflagellates. 2 minutes. So, okay, I will skim this one. It's okay. Okay, so what is their temporal and spatial variability of these species? So we try to map out the location of the species and their appearance in the Arabian Seas. So this map shows the location of the herb events, and with 2 colors, the blue color and the red color. The red color shows the season, so it's the summer, and the blue is showing the winter. So if you look at the map, you will see that the blue color are the blue points are more than the red points. So it means that the herb events are more frequent in the winter than in the summer, and with different concentration. However, if we look at the species, so we can find that, so here, this map shows the 8 genus and their distribution in the map from the historical events. So we can see that the Trichodesmium, which are the cyanobacteria, are the most spreading one, but it is toward India. However, the Noctulica are most spreading one after Trichodesmium, in the center of Arabian Sea, and also in Gulf of Oman. And also there have been like samples of Noctulica found in the coast of Dubai and Al Qawain as well. And if you look at the Arabian Gulf, you will see the Cocodinium species. So these species present the outbreaks of 2008 and 2009 of that region. Yeah, so this is my presentation. So thank you so much. If you have any questions, please ask me.
Please feel free, you still have some time for questions. Yeah, please. Do you have the mic?
Thank you very much. Is it working? All right. I saw a lot of species in his. Are these species indigenous species, or these are coming from somewhere else? I mean, because I know we have a heavy traffic, especially by the shipping.
Yeah.
And the ships normally use the ballast water for, safety-wise, but they discharge the ballast water in the Arabian Gulf.
Yeah.
And this is one of the major issues, especially in the IMO and other, international maritime concern agencies, that these ballast waters contains a lot of those kinds of species you mentioned. Yeah. And they live in the areas, and they become more aggressive. So my question is, these are indigenous?
Yeah, I'm aware of one species, which is the Carinia. Actually, it is coming, they said from Korea, but I'm not sure. They said from the ballast water of Korean ships, and so it appears you see in Iran and in Kuwait. However, the other species, I think they form in the Arabian Sea, and they got transported by the currents to the Arabian Gulf. So actually, there are 2 things we should say, like formation of harmful algae blooms and transport of harmful algae blooms. So most of the harmful algae blooms are formed in the Arabian Seas, and most of them are transported to the Arabian Gulf, not formed in the Arabian Gulf because of the currents. So I think the other species are formed in the Arabian seas, but Carina is one of the species that got transported from other ships to the Arabian Sea and got away to Iran and Kuwait in this case.
And I know there is an organization in this region which is called ROBME, Regional Organization for Protection of Maritime Environment, which is GCC countries, including also the Iraq and Iran. And they also have statistics, I think since 2000 and 2006, which includes the HABs and other also harmful substance and species. So if you consider that, because they are collecting data from all around the, the Arabian Gulf and the Sea of Oman. So did you consider those statistics or?
Actually, the sampling of, you mean ROBME organization, right? So ROBME, I think they have several cruises in winter 2006 and 2001, but these cruises were not during the HAB events. So I look at the data, but with low chlorophyll concentration, so it's not really HAB events. I'm not sure if they have sampling, regular sampling campaigns during the HAB events, but I know that they have done several surveys, but not during the HAB events itself. So, so their publication actually, it's general, so not all the species cause HABs. Some of them only cause HABs. But ROBME, I think they are looking at, in general view, like all the species that are in the Arabian Gulf. Not only considering the species that cause the HABs.
Sorry, one more question. Sorry, just the question about, we know the problem now. So what is the cure? What is the solutions?
Actually, in our team, we are trying to detect this problem and to have an idea if there is a problem or not. But the solution, I think...
the monitoring and detection.
Yeah, the monitoring and detection team should look at the problem and see if there is a problem or not. But I think the environment agencies and these people should take care of performing something or applying something that can protect, for example, the desalination plant. They can stop them for a while.
Early warning, yes.
Yeah, early warning, so they can, until the HABs goes, so they can restart it again. But we are not aware of the solution to this problem.
But what I mean is, if you have this published to the public, what will happen? The concerned agency, like for example, the one who put the regulations, they might improve the regulations and so on.
Yeah, it can be a warning tool for them, so they can also, of course, they will have a lot of developed and advanced rules that they can implement in their system as well. Or the tourism sector as well, they can consider these things.
Regarding the capabilities you have, for how long you can discover these cases, how many days to take action against it?
So this is in line with what Dr. Zhao presented in the first talk and Dr. Al, and then continued with Mariam. The detection is ongoing with the satellite. So every day we get a new satellite imagery and we detect automatically the anomalies, whether it is an oil spill or a HAB, and we notify the concerned agencies. Al Fujairah, our friends from Al Fujairah, they were in touch with us, the Ministry of Environment and Water, and so on. We have a list of contact focal points. So it happens daily. Now we do it from an academic point of view now. So sometimes we detect an anomaly, but we go with the science rather than the operational notification. We prioritize the science and so on. So. Although the model that Dr. Al is working on, or the detection with Dr. Zhao, the characterization with Nahal and Mariam, is done regularly, but it's not, we are not an agency, like 100% agency with all the task forces and all the manpower that we need to do this on a daily basis. We do our best to do it as perfect as we can, but within the resources that we have. Okay, thank you very much. So that was the end of the first session. We'll go for a first break. Thank you, Mariam. Thank you.